redundant.
Okay, let's, did we do last week, because I just, in this exam, did we do last week questions 13 through 17? Okay, let's do questions 13 through 17. Donnie, how about it? Would you mind reading that? 13 through 17?
3 short seminars, G, O, and P, and 3 long seminars, H, N, and T, will be scheduled for a 3-day sales training conference. On each day, 2 of the seminars will be given consecutively. Each seminar will be given exactly once. The schedule must conform to the following conditions.
Okay, so again, you slow down, stop at that colon. And would it be fair to say that part of the organization here will be on assignment or attribution? Would that be fair? In other words, the seminars are either long or short.
Yes.
They're not interchangeable, right? And then the next question you're asking yourself is, do I have to order the seminars? And we're told that on each day, and there are 3 days, 2 of the seminars will be given consecutively. Doesn't that suggest we're going to have to order them?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what you get out of this, all right? It's 6 going into 6, 3 consecutive days, 2 seminars each day. So it's assignment and it's ordering. Okay. Donnie, what are my constraints?
Exactly 1 short seminar and exactly 1 long seminar will be given each day.
Each day there will be 1 short and 1 long. Okay.
Telemarketing will not be given until both G and O have been given. T won't be given.
And T is long. Okay. Next.
And N will not be given until P has been given.
And that was it, yes? Okay. Create hypotheticals. That's what you're going to be doing. Create hypotheticals. You got to take that information, and it's all right here. So, is it fair to say that T, Donnie, is it fair to say that T has to come after both G and O? And is it fair to say that G and O cannot be held on the same day?
Yes.
And therefore, is it fair to say that the earliest that T can be given would be the 4th seminar?
Yes.
Right, because say day 1 it couldn't go because you'd have either G or O and somebody else, right? Yeah.
Well, I did this at home, and I think that's one of the questions that I had about it, because it doesn't say that O and T can't go on like the same day. It just has to go first.
Doesn't say, well, may I
It says
inquire?
it can't go until,
Both have been given.
yeah, so if G goes, it's 2 a day, so if G goes the first day with something else, and then O goes, and then T is after that?
Yeah.
After.
Yeah.
You got it, that's what you said, the 4th spot.
Yeah, 4th spot, meaning,
Okay.
yeah, that G and O, if we were to just say we have 3 days. And Donnie, would you agree with me that that represents 3 consecutive days? And that represents the ability to place 2 seminars on each day in consecutive order. And on this day, there's going to have to be 1 short and 1 long. 1 short, 1 long. 1 short, 1 long. Right.
I set mine up differently, that's why I was just
And-
briefly looking at it, I counted it wrong, but yeah, I had the same.
And therefore, here, the earliest T could go would be there. Well, that's what this is about. So, if that's the case, couldn't I trifurcate on that? Remember, I'm looking to create hypotheticals, right?
Yep.
So couldn't I then say T is here, here, here? And since my conscious objective is to trifurcate, that's what I'm going to do. So it's all coming from it's information becoming intelligence. So my world's going to look like this. Information on the edge. Okay. And then you say, all right, I'm not done organizing. In the first hypothetical, Tony, would it be fair to say that either G or O's got to be here? One of these two spots, I don't know which one. Would it also be fair to say whoever is not here is going to have to be there? Would it be fair to say I've accounted for 2 of the 3 short seminars? Who's the remaining short seminar? And where would T have to be in this first hypothetical? I'm sorry, P. Where would P have to be?
Yeah, the third.
And more specifically, where on the third day?
In the first slot.
In the first slot, because it's going to have to come before N. Everybody see that? This has to be PN. And since I now have all but one accounted for, where is the H going to have to be? On the first day, but I don't know whether it will be the first or the second seminar. Does everybody agree? Again, look at this process. The process is creating an organizational framework, right? Applying the information, putting the information into that framework, and then managing what you organize. Okay. So now you come down, you say, all right, how about this second hypothetical? So we know T is long, it would have to be here. Okay. And we know that T's got to come after G and O, yes? So would it be fair to say, Tony, that either G or O has to be that first day, and either G or O has to be that second day? But I don't know exactly where, but they'd have to be there. And so I've accounted for 2 of my short hypotheticals. What's the remaining short hypothetical? Yeah, P. Do you see a problem?
Yeah.
It's like Mission, I'm here. Houston, we have a problem, right?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say the second hypothetical is invalid?
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't you think they're going to ask you about that? Right? So we started off saying, well, we're going to trifurcate, but it ends up we're only going to have to bifurcate, and we know it must be false. That T is the first seminar on the third day. Say, okay. Now we come down to the bottom hypothetical. And again, if you're in a rush, if you just try to think for a second, what if they're really testing your ability to organize and your ability to manage? What if they're honest to God doing that? When's the last time you've organized well when you're in a rush?
Not too well. It's not enough.
When's the last time not only have you organized well, but you have managed well when you're in a rush? It's a great test. But if you're told it's tricks and shortcuts, well, then you can be in a rush, right? Because it's just a fucking trick. No problem. When you get to the bottom hypothetical, isn't it fair to say we really don't know anything about G and O? Right? You can't, that could be anywhere now, right? Because we don't know. Okay. Is it fair to say that T is a long seminar?
Yes.
And that immediately before T will have to be a short seminar?
Yes.
Everybody agree with that? Would everybody agree that short seminar cannot be P?
Yes.
And therefore must be either G or O?
Yes.
And you're going to do this in a rush, exactly how? And I'm going to show you tricks exactly how. This has got to be G. Does everybody agree this has got to be G or O?
Yeah.
All right. We take one more step. Who can't be here? P. Because you got to have room for N. So isn't it fair to say that this is not P?
Yes.
Okay, then I think I'm done. Now, if I'm right, the answers will flow off the page. You with me? So again, what's fundamentally different about analytical is that what we're doing is creating the law. That's what's taking the time. In logical reasoning, they're just handing you the law and saying, just read that argument. The argument is the law. There's nothing to create, you just interpret it, right? But in analytical reasoning, you have to create the law. So that's what takes the time. But if you don't have the law, how in God's name do you apply an issue to it? What are you applying the issue to if you don't have the law? It's all IRAC. All law school's IRAC. All lawyering is IRAC. I mean, you can use different letters, but it's the same bloody process. Why should it come as a shock that that's what this test is measuring? So now I believe I have the law. I want to apply a straightforward issue insofar that they allow me to do that. They don't have anything that jumps off the page here at me. I mean, I could do 15, but it's not telling me when O goes. So I would just look at 14 and just, all right, let me see what I've got here. If G is given on the first day of the sales training conference, then which of the following could be true? Okay. So they want G on the first day, and they want what could be true. Okay. And that could be in either hypothetical. So if this were G, this would be O. Right. Same thing down here. If this were G, that would have to be O. But they're looking for what could be true, so, they're not going to let me pin it down. Could it be true, so here you just have to look at the choice. Could it be true that N is given on the first day?
No.
Well, no, you can't, N's not there and you can't put N here, right? Nobody see that? Okay. B, could it be true that objections is on the first day? Well, that's just stupid, right? Because you told me goals on the first day, and you told me you can't have 2 short seminars on the same day. Yes? C, could persuasion be on the first day?
No.
No.
That's,
No, because you'd have 2 shorts. You got G over there, right? You have 2 shorts. Everybody get it? All they're requiring you to do is be fluent in the law they gave you. D, could you have humor on the second day? Well, not here, right? But if you put humor on the second day here, you'd have a long one, right? And who would you have to put there? Who is the short you'd have to put there? P. And what would you do with the N?
you can't.
You can't. So the answer is E. So here is one where it would take some time. It would not have been the best question to jump out of the box on, but you're not going to be perfect. Does everybody see why A, B, C, and D each fall up short? So E's the answer. You don't have to do the work. We'll do it here. But on the test, you don't have to do the work. And E says T is given on the second day. That's right there. If it's valid on one hypothetical and you ask for what could be true, doesn't that mean it could be true?
Yes.
Gotta go now. So if they had made E the answer, do you see how little time it would have taken to get right? I'm sorry, if the answer here, if T had been choice A, how quickly would you have gotten this right? Unless you're using the process of elimination, in which case you would pass the coordinate answer and keep working. Right. Ah, okay, you do that. Well, not here. So, does this appear to work?
Yes.
Is there, again, in the short time we've had together, is there a pattern that appears to be developing? Consistent with my conclusion, it's a big picture task, right? You gotta organize, you have to manage, there's nothing sexy about it, there's no trick to it. Trevor?
I'm just a little bit unsure why the second hypothetical was nullified completely, like the middle.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, why wasn't that possible?
Okay, well, if we go back and we take it one step at a time, would it be fair to say that the second hypothetical was born out of deciding that T could not be in the first three places,
Yes.
and therefore had to be in the last three? Okay. But if you put T here, who's also long, right, you'd have to put a short one here. Okay. But G and O each have to come before T.
Okay.
So would you agree that either G or O has to be here?
Yeah.
Either G or O has to be here?
Yes.
Okay. Would you further agree the only short one left is P?
Yes.
And would you agree that P has to come before N?
There you go. Thank you.
It's a great task, because it's not polemics, it's not rhetoric, it's not me selling you bullshit. It is when your mind sees it, right? You're gonna be fine. Once your mind sees it, then you get it. And again, everyone has to be aware that not everyone's mind is gonna have the capacity to see it. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Yes?
Just to clarify, it could be a long seminar, then a short seminar, right? It's not
Absolutely.
necessarily a short seminar. Then
And that's, yeah, no, that's a great observation, because when you're casual and you hear short and long, which one should come first? Short, when you're casual. Were you given any direction that the short had to precede the long? No. You want to be lawyers, right? Casual is what we take advantage of. You have no clue. Right.
I just wanted to see how would you attack question number 15 on the same.
You what?
I wanted to see how you would attack.
You want to see how I'm going to attack? All depends on what the word attack means.
Question 15.
Sure, 15, sure, absolutely. Take a look at 15. Okay. So 15, you see what I don't like about 15 is it doesn't tell me where negotiations gotta go. Doesn't tell, because I just want to know, tell me which seminar it's in, doesn't tell me that. But it does say it's gotta go before O. Okay. Well, if negotiations has gotta be given before O, do you see how these two guys now go together? So don't you have to have P coming before N coming before O, and O coming before T? So the answer probably is going to be that N comes before T, because that must be true. Do you see? And I don't know that would. Oh, no, this is 15. P comes before O. Right, well, that's the same, yeah. Whereas you have P, N, O, O, T. So P has to now come before T. So all they wanted you to do was to string together the two constraints. So that's how I would. Again, it's not important to me that you fail to resolve one or two questions in a hypothetical. That's not I could care less. What is important to me is that you can look at 3 of the hypotheticals, organize them, manage them, and, at a minimum, right, from 3, if you're only doing 3, could you see getting 3, 4, and 3 right? Could you see just doing that? Talk to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, would that get you a 10 and have you guessing on the final one? Talk to me. Would that at least allow you to swim in the pool of being competitive?
Yes.
Because you'd be now talking about 11 or 12 right. But if you can get 11 or 12 right, don't you think that would morph into 13 or 14 right if you gave it another 3 months?
Yeah.
Don't you have another 3 months? That it almost doesn't matter when you take the test anymore. Bless you. It almost doesn't matter, right? There simply are not enough law school candidates. It does matter, I think, that you learn to reason this way, right? And all you're doing is becoming aware of how you reason. Isn't that what we're doing? Didn't like say, oh shit, that's what I do. Well, yeah. Yeah, and I'm telling you, I do it way better because I'm aware of it. I could always do it because that's what God did, right? He said, Peter, we're going to let you do this. Okay, so I can do it. All right. I do better, way better, because I've become aware of it. But how do you become aware of it if you're not reflective? You don't. So I need you to be reflective if you're going to succeed. Okay. All right, so we'll do one more hypothetical, because this is just, it's exciting. Poor bastards, they're believing it. Okay, so we'll just finish out the exam here. Maria, would you mind reading this last one?
A bread truck makes exactly 1 bread delivery to each of 6 restaurants in succession. F, G, H, K, L, M. Though not necessarily in that order, the following conditions must apply.
Okay. Could they make it more straightforward? You got 6 bread trucks. Now they're going to give you an order, right? So, okay, so just put the constraints down and then we'll go from there. Maria, what's my first constraint?
G is earlier than K, but later than F.
Did I get that right, MGK?
FGK.
FGK?
FGK.
And you see that wording, didn't they use that precise wording, like when we were doing the valves? Didn't they say like, this valve's got to come before this valve, but after that valve?
Yes.
That's what they're going to do on your test. So you're in a rush, right? Some percentage of people are writing down the wrong sequence because they're in a rush. FGK. Okay, what's next?
H is earlier than G.
Okay.
If F is earlier than M, then L is earlier than H.
If F is earlier than M, then L is earlier than H. Okay, anything else?
Either M is earlier than H or it is later than K, but not both.
NH. Give me that one more time. NH or?
M. Or it is later than K, but not both.
Okay.
Not a question.
Hang on. So I have F. And I have M. M is restricted. And carriage. Question, yes, what a question? Yeah,
You said H is before G, so when you put H before G and K? Just when you diagram it? I'm saying when it, instead of.
Well, would you agree with me, there may be, one part of the process may be the gathering of the evidence, and a second part of it may be the weaving of the evidence. So you seek to gather and weave simultaneously. I get confused. I'm going to gather, like a little squirrel. Get my little nuts. You're enjoying that too much? Okay. So yes, Kadeem, you're absolutely, of course you can write that. My goal is to slow you down, not speed you up. My goal is, it takes no more time to write these down there and then say, of course I'm going to weave that into that, right? But first, let me just get them down so I'm precise. Yes.
Okay, and that little box right there, I see you put parentheses both, you mean for both?
So are you directing my attention to this little squiggle?
Yes, that's where I'm directing on.
This little squiggle is supposed to be the negation sign. So-
Okay, thank you.
So
Thank
you can refer to it as the squiggle a la negation.
Thank you.
But yes, any old way you want. But again, then you got to say, is it fair to say we've been given 4 discrete constraints? Talk to me.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that the first 2 are not conditioned on anything, meaning it's always going to be the case that you have this, and it's always going to be the case you have that? Yes?
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that the third constraint is given to us in the form of an if-then?
Yes.
And it looks ugly because, you know, the if's got 2 characters and the then's got 2 characters, but when all is said and done, do we have an if-then?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're right back to where we were. When you see this, you see this. Yes? When you don't see this, you don't see that. Right?
Right.
The mere fact that you see this
Does not.
does not mean you see that. And the mere fact that you don't see this does not mean you don't see that. And when you have that, when you own that and you stop renting it from me, this test is going to be a hell of a lot friendlier, because that's the same in logical reasoning. What is this? I'm looking at Christine, she's going, what is Yes? And does it become less unfamiliar when we spend time on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but, or I could just like run through, right, and just spend the 5 hours, and I could probably do in 5 hours, I could probably do the whole bloody book. You know, like, if what I wanted to do was set up hypotheticals in the volume, I could probably do all 40 hypotheticals in 5 hours. What possible value would that have for you?
A whole lot of value.
I'm sorry?
I said a whole lot of value.
No, wouldn't have any, because I'd be going too fast. It might now, it might after it being through a session or something. This is how you've got to, it's like a polio. You got to inoculate yourself to an if-then statement, right? Because they're all over the place, right? So if-then statement in logical reasoning is no different from an if-then statement in analytical reasoning. But you're being told, you know, these 2 things are entirely different. Well, bullshit. It's reasoning, it's not different. So you look at this, and then what I'm saying to you is that in analytical reasoning, an if-then statement is the least powerful of all statements. Does F ever have to be in front of M? Couldn't they give you 5 questions where M is in front of F? Well, okay, so I'm thinking, how do I organize, right? But the first condition exists in all universes. The second condition exists in all universes. The third condition doesn't exist. Do you ever think about the word if? It's an exciting word. So if G is 3, H is 6. Right now, G's not 3. If I say if E is G, if G is 3, H is 6, didn't I also say that at this very moment G is not 3?
Yes.
Because I said if G is 3, don't I now have to make an affirmative statement saying G is 3?
Yes.
welcome to law. So if, you know what? When you tell me this is true, or you tell me this is false, then I can proceed. But absent that, I'm fucking brain dead. Don't have a clue. Now, how about this statement? Is that an if-then? No, that's an either-or. So, gosh, you don't think there's a difference between if-then and either-or by any chance, do you? You think there might be a difference? When M comes, isn't it fair to say that either M is coming before H or K is coming before M? Isn't that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. This is a hugely important constraint which will guide what you do. So again, it would be one thing if each hypothetical had different principles attached to it. It would be impossible to organize it. It would be impossible to learn anything. They have the same principles. So the principle is this. When you're organizing information and you have an either-or statement, that is what you organize on. Then you take the concrete information you have and you'll put it into the either universe and into the or universe. Whatever if-thens remain, you just keep them there. And you'll apply them if and when needed. So, okay. And by the way, this shows up repeatedly. So when you say, when you can have one or not both, doesn't that mean when you have MH, you have to have MK? You can have one or the other, but not both, yes?
Yeah.
So take it longhand. So let's say we have MH.
Correct.
Isn't it fair to say that we have MK?
Yes.
Yes.
Talk to me. So slow down. Do you see? Because you can't have that. Well, there's only one alternative to it because they can't go at the same time. Athena, do you see it?
I see it.
You had a troubled look. Well,
Oh,
I
no,
inferred you had a
I was
troubled
thinking
look, but
in
you're
my
probably
brain.
thinking about just getting the hell out.
No, I was processing that, I was thinking about it.
Because it's not unlikely this exact constraint would appear in your test. If you were not familiar with this constraint, if you chose not to slow down, if you chose not to assert mastery over this now, and you saw it for the first time on the test, what would it take for you to figure it out?
A lot.
Well, what's that commodity you don't have anything of? Time. Capiche? And that's what's happening on the test, is people are not preparing for the test. Or they're not capable of preparing for the test, but they're not being taught to prepare for the test. Okay. So do you get MH means M is in front of both H and K? Doesn't KM mean HKM, meaning H and K both have to be before M?
Yes.
Because you can't have that.
Correct.
Well, doesn't this constraint then mean that M either precedes both of these letters or is preceded by both of these letters?
Yes.
And that's the principle. Imagine you took the test, right? And this shows up and you just look at it and you say, oh yeah, that means either M precedes both or is preceded by both. Would that put you at an advantage to the person sitting next to you who didn't realize that?
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think preparation is likely to be the explanation for many, many of these cases? Some of us prepare. And again, if you don't know to prepare, or if you don't know what the test wants, which is, I'm sure what happens, you're dead. Okay, so now you see what I'm doing. I'm taking that fourth constraint, and I'm saying, so what you're saying to me is I have two universes, so I'm going to bifurcate, right?
Yes.
And I'm bifurcating in these two universes. That's just, my first universe is, and then I'll just work these other rules, but M has got to be before H and K. Over here, the universe will be Okay, does everybody see what I've done and understand why I've done it? Does it make sense? Which is separate from, is it easy? I don't want it to be easy, it does make sense. But yeah, okay. Now what you do is you take in information so now, I'm with you, brother. Now, it's all right, now I'm gonna combine these two, right? And it's gonna be FGK. And HG. Now, wouldn't it be helpful here to be fluent with the tree hypothetical? Meaning now I'm going to take the H, right? Just going to do that.
And then you would just use the top as a guide for the bottom.
Or you can put it in there. Yeah, you can do that. But here, so in terms of what do I no longer care about?
The rules.
That's all gone, right? This is gone. All I have left is an if-then statement. Now, here I want to look at, well, if M has got to be before H and K, I can actually represent that, right? In other words, if I put M in front of the H, doesn't this represent M being in front of both the H and the K?
Yes.
You guys see it? So I'm going to put that in there. So I wouldn't leave it just up there because I want to give myself a little more room here. But if I put M here, am I not now in compliance with that?
Yes.
Do you guys see it? But doesn't this require you to know how to organize as a tree hypothetical?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Yes.
Perla, do you see it? Oh, and I forgot, it was, we had another, a pipeline person get through. We had a 147 turned to a 153.
Awesome.
So that person will be attending law school probably next week. Yeah, we'll get the money back that it costs to do this, and other money as well. Yep. Yep. And here you say H and K have to come from, can't I just put the M after the K? Yep, so did it. So, okay. And you say, well, what's left? Well, the only thing that's left is when F comes before M, L's got to come before H, right? So if I have any universe where F is coming before M, well, then that universe is gone. Oh, frisky. Is F coming before M here?
Yes.
Well, then where's L coming? Before H. Here, I don't know if F is coming before M, right? And therefore, this stays active in this hypothetical, but not in the other hypothetical. Does it appear to be the case that when you organize systematically and you manage what you've organized, you apply the issue to the law you've created, the outcome you reach is the outcome they want you to reach?
Yes.
So I'll take, how cool would it do, how would you feel on the test if you looked at the four constraints, said to yourself, wait a minute, I have an if-then and an either-or. I'm going to build on the either-or. I'm going to set up competing universes on the either-or. I'm going to put in the concrete information. I'm then going to apply the if-then and be in the, how cool would it feel to be in that position? And what prevents you from that? Yeah, again, unless God's not going to let it happen. But if you can understand what we're doing here today, doesn't that imply you're capable of doing what we're doing here? I mean, how is it one would have an ability to understand, but then not do what you understand? I mean, I'm a little, but okay. So I would just look at, because 19 kind of screams out at me. They say, well, if F is fourth, which one of the following must be true? Well, would everybody agree that F cannot be fourth here?
Yeah.
Talk to me. But doesn't this build on the prior knowledge we've developed?
Yes.
Meaning you'd have to know what a tree is, right? Or whatever you want to call it, right? Okay. So then F is fourth in this hypothetical, right?
Yes.
So doesn't it have to be true that G is fifth and K is sixth?
Yes.
And then you say, well, let me just see if they gave that, because if they gave that, I'm done, oh gosh, and choice A says what?
She is fit.
G is fifth. Do you guys see it? It's a great test. So, am I making the case?
Yes, getting better.
And it'll be fun. Again, it's all you control is your effort and not to mistake motion for progress, right? Which it's just critical. Don't. And for God's sake, listen to me. If we get to the exam, and I'm saying don't take the test, what do you think? You think I'm doing it? I mean, I may be mistaken, and that's fine. But then what? Could you then maybe compete with me on the fucking evidence? You want to say I'm wrong. Okay, well, I don't want to be wrong. So could you point to the evidence upon which I rely that's problematic? Could you point to my fucking reason? Could you do that, please? And if you can't do that, then you're probably better off just doing what I say, which at that point will be either refrain from taking the test or take the test. And my obligation is not to make it easy on you. You're my clients. So why? I'm just going to tell you what, well, I'll make it easy on them. Oh, that's great. That'll go a long way. So again, going forward, and we will, next week you will get the more recent box. All right, I wanted to do some more briefing in this book before I did that this week, so we've done that. So in the analytical reasoning, you have a sense for what's there. Just do it. Just do it to practice it. Just do it to be fluent in it. Nothing under time conditions. No analytical under time conditions. You're going to get a new volume next week. So we'll have plenty of opportunity to do stuff under time conditions. At this point, I think really the only two major logical reasoning areas we need to cover are conclusion and principles. So that will be my goal next week, is to take an hour out on conclusions and an hour out on principles. And then return to the analytical, again with caveat that we do have to get some reading comp in. Does anybody have any questions?
So are we using a different book next week?
Yes.
Which one is it?
You don't have it.
Oh,
I will bring it in, Jane.
I see. I thought we had to order it.
Yeah, no. All right, but you guys, yeah, well, I'll bring it in, yeah. But right, because you guys at Pacer are getting this free, right, so you can give me whatever, $20 for the book. Yeah, I don't care about that. Any other questions?
And he's parallel reasoning at some point. Is that what you're talking
If you bring that up tomorrow, it may be your lucky day. Yes, the answer is yes, we will do parallel. Anything else? Okay, well then, go away. Have a wonderful week, but just go away. That doesn't mean come in this direction, that means go away.
Like class.